That's
big as
interesting.
maybe initially.
Not even the first year? I feel like the first year everyone's going to want to do it.
Well, my second question was going to be, in those notes it said one player per team.
Yep.
Yes.
So does that mean to
country.
tell me for each? So that means like Brian Branch and Jameer Gibbs both cannot play because they're from the same NFL team.
No more than one player from each NFL roster can participate for a country.
Interesting.
Let me clarify also, like
go ahead.
Jordan Mailata is Australian.
Yeah.
He can play from the Eagles for Australia while Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley plays it. But Jalen and Saquon,
different countries.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, later in the show, you do not want to miss this because both guys are going to pick their flag football starting fives.
I might have.
And for the viewers at home, here's how it works. It's quarterback, two wide receiver, running back, and then like a flex center.
Okay, so and Dan's already breaking the rules.
We're going to get very flexible.
Interesting. All right. Speaking of centers, and I'm going to do a team too. I got time. Good. Let's talk about the tush push. Okay, the Eagles spoke today on it. Listen to this.
We obviously were at the owners' meetings. We talked about how we felt about it, and I don't think anyone could question what my sentiment is on it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with it tomorrow.
Listen, guys, as in terms of them banning the tush push, I hate that name, so I hope they do ban it. It's a stupid name. But I can't control that. We can't control it, so we don't even worry about that. Right now, we're just installing our schemes. Whatever KP is installing that day, that's what we're focused on. Because worrying about if they're going to ban the tush push or not ain't going to win us another championship.
I don't have any thoughts on it. And I think it's only 1 yard. So, I mean.
I mean, it's only 1 yard, but over the last 3 seasons, the Eagles have ran a push sneak 108 times and have converted a first down on 92 of those tries. Now, both of those nearly double the amount of the next closest team, and that was the Buffalo Bills. Philly also had 27 touchdowns using the push sneak. So while it's only 1 yard, it results in touchdowns. The rest of the league as a whole had 25 for reference. Peter, the Packers changed the language of the proposal. Keep in mind, they're meeting on Monday Night Football week 10,
that's a big
by the
deal.
way.
That's
it is a really big deal. What does that mean? Explain it to the people.
They changed the language a little bit, so it's not just from the snap. Essentially, it's you can't push anybody on offense and you can't interlock arms. They loosened up the language so it's not directly the tush push per se, but it's any play like that. Look, they had this out there in March. They didn't get the votes. They got 16. They need 24. I'm hearing that the NFL league office has been, talking to folks, and of course owners that are on the other side of it might not want it. I do know the Eagles have been very proactive in voicing their opinion to not only the media, but also to the competition community. The health and safety risks are one thing. Anytime you see Dr. Alan Sills, the NFL's lead physician, come out and use the word catastrophic injury, which is what we saw in March, that is a red flag for everybody. But lots of people don't like it as a football play. Yeah. A lot of people look at it as a football play and say it was banned for 85 years. Offense can push. Why can't defense push? It's ugly. It ruins the pace of play. So there's two sides here. It's the health and safety, but it's also the aesthetics of football. And that for years you couldn't just push on offense, and now all of a sudden you can.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of unintended consequences to the new language if that gets passed. Because there's going to be a lot of plays, and you're talking about as an offensive person pushing that ball carrier that will no longer be touchdowns. Not only will they no longer be touchdowns, they'll become penalties, right? Yep. I would imagine if it happens,
it's a flag.
Like this Adrian Peterson touch, this is going to be a flag in the future. If this gets passed, that has nothing to do with the tush push. Yep. But instead of that being a touchdown, that's going to be a flag. And I think that really interesting. If you guys, defenders are taught first guy hit, second, third, fourth guy. First guy holds him up, second, third, fourth guy. You go in and try to rip the ball out. So now, if an offensive player is not allowed to get into the fray as an offensive lineman and push that pile, you're going to have a ball carrier literally defenseless because defenses are going to do what they've done. Hit him the first time, hold him up, second and third, fourth guy, you're coming punch, rip the ball out.
You talk about the injury consequence, that feels much more likely to result in bad injuries than even the tush push.
Well, totally,
right?
and that's why this new language from Green Bay, and I understand the premise behind it, But we're not banning just the quarterback sneak type of thing.
And that's why it makes it a little bit more fluid and maybe a little bit more digestible, that it's not an Eagles tush-push ban. It's a ban on all those type of plays, including that Peterson play.
All right, Jordan Mailata doesn't like the word tush push. Again, we're going to have an update.
Yeah. Jordan, what do you want? What do you want to call it?
Yeah, you know what?
Call it whatever you want, bud.
Another suggestion for it. But we will have an update on what happens with all of these votes happening at the NFL spring meetings later on in the show. Let's talk Cowboys, okay? They're having OTAs. Brian Schottenheimer, of course, the new head coach there. And day 2 happening. Let's see, who's out there? There's a Donovan Ezeraku. They got him in the draft, of course. And you can see that the Cowboys have tried to add weapons on offense. They've tried to strengthen that defense. Here's new head coach Brian Schottenheimer on the addition specifically of George Pickens.
I think he's going to fit in awesome with what we're trying to do here. You guys have talked to him, I think, over the phone, and he's all about, a new opportunity. So, we all change, we all adjust, we all grow. I'm thrilled with the way the guys have responded to him. We did our homework on GP. We don't have those concerns, and we're bringing him into a culture that we feel like he'll thrive just like everybody else. Why? Because it's important to us.
I don't know what else I expected him to say, but it does sound like Schottenheimer's excited about Pickens. You see his play on the field. I don't blame him. What do you expect out of him?
Schottenheimer, by the way, is pitching a no-hitter this offseason.
Yeah.
Every time he's in front of the microphone, you listen, and you're like, wait, that does make sense. He's saying the right thing.
I'm with that.
Look, Will McClay, who does a lot of their player selections, he spoke earlier this month as well, and I thought he was fantastic on it as well. They went to the draft. They had a list of players. They looked at the caliber of wide receivers, and none of them were close to George Pickens, with the exception of Teteroa McMillan, who went number 8 and was unavailable to them. So they get the next best thing. They get him, and it's his final year of a contract for a 24-year-old game breaker who is going to have a financial carrot at the end of this season that could be limitless. If this guy goes off, he can be the biggest free agent signing next year. And also, he's got a bit of chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
You leave Pittsburgh the way he did, and everyone out of Pittsburgh and all the Pittsburgh media is saying he was late to practice, he was late to games, he's a bad teammate, he doesn't block, all this stuff. Pickens is a good player. If ever there was a place in a nurturing environment, it's one where Brian Schottenheimer is going to lift him up, and where the other receiver, CeeDee Lamb, we saw over the weekend, said, I'm not the number one. We're both the number one.
That was good.
I love what they've got going on in Dallas, and I think it's a great situation. And if he's not motivated this year, I don't know when he's going to be motivated to be that guy.
I love what they have going on offensively. I think this offense will be a good offense this year. I really do. I just don't know if the defense can become modern enough. We are back to, we've talked about this for about 4 years on NFL Live, running the ball. So if you look at Dallas's defense, in their first 6 opponents, they're going to face 3 teams, or first 7 opponents, 3 teams that were top 5 running the football last year. And then you have the Bears in there and the Carolina Panthers. I think both of those teams also will be top 10 run offenses. So I think the offense is going to be good. Here's my concern, and this is where I am with Dallas, and I would love to get just the overall perspective. The Dallas front 7 weighs, okay? We go 260, 280, 245, 220, 240, 320.
Small.
There's one person over like 280. When I'm playing Philly.
I'm thinking of Jeff Stoutland's offensive line right now.
Yeah, when I'm thinking Matt LaFleur running the football, I'm thinking what Chicago has done with their offense. So I know that we talk about Dallas and offense and George. I'm going to be very interested to see the annual question about this Cowboys defense. Are you big enough to handle the modern day offense in the NFL? Because it's back to being what it was in the early 2000s.
You mentioned us talking about this on this show for the last 4 years. It's amazing how quickly it switches, and all of a sudden these offenses are just beefed up.
Your 220-pound linebackers are great until you got to handle 330-pound
But that's to Laura's point. That's the game. There's a Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah who's weighing 220 one year, and it's like, wait, we actually need to get back to the bigger linebackers, and we need to KO spikes in the middle.
Exactly.
You know?
What they do have, though, kind of, is Micah Parsons, and it's actually pretty cool. He's been at workouts. Here's Schottenheimer. Peter said he's pitching a no-hitter. Let's hear from him about Micah.
First couple of days, what we were doing some, team building things, some culture. We've spoken very openly about trying to create one of the greatest cultures in professional sports. Micah is